So as you can see by the title of this video, I'm going to be telling you guys how I'm overcoming my social anxiety as someone who has it severely. Well, let me start with a little bit of background so you guys can know just how bad it is for me. In a lot of situations, I get anxiety just from talking to some of my family members. Like, I get sweaty palms, literally quaking in my boots, talking to people that have known me like my whole life. Talking to my family, like it's to a point. I would give one word responses to people when they expect me to elaborate, and I would never understand that. So I would always give people one word responses. Give more than one word responses when people typically ask you questions. Keep the conversation going with just something, some context to the answer. I talk so low sometimes that people literally tell me it sounds like I'm whispering. And that's something that I'm currently still fixing, but I'm able to talk more, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this video, how I'm overcoming my social anxiety and the things that I'm doing to help myself become better. If I'm looking down, you guys, I'm looking at notes. Where I used to work, I used to be so nervous just by communicating with my coworkers that they would tell me to do something, and I would be so in my head about how, like, in my head I'm perceiving that these people hate me, that they don't like me, that I cannot like take instructions. Like, the social anxiety was literally like, it was really bad at that point because I can't like, it was bad. I'm just telling you, it was bad. And it still has progress because I'm still pretty socially awkward sometimes, but I'm growing. I'm nowhere near where I was before. This is what has helped me look forward to talking to people that I actually want to talk to and not being scared of saying the wrong thing, instead of dreading talking to people even if I want to talk to them because I fear that I'll embarrass myself. There is no audience to perform for. There is no approval, no admiration to attain. There is no role worth playing. There is no one to convince. Let it go. Now, this quote, I found it on Instagram recently, and let me tie it. I'm gonna tie it in right now how that works out with what we're talking about. I'm a people pleaser. So what I want to do is I want to please people to the maximum capacity, even if that means sacrificing myself and my well-being. I'm a people pleaser. So with it being a people pleaser, I'm bent on the approval of others. And I'm sure that you guys have that same experience too, wanting to not disappoint, being a people pleaser, in all the different ways that can show up. That can show up with putting yourself last. That can show up with sometimes kissing butt. Okay, let's be so raw right now. Let's be so raw and serious. Sometimes that's what people pleasing looks like, and it's ew. Okay, it's ew. Understanding too that other people sometimes see that as ew. I see that as ew. So when I understand that people don't want that, you're people pleasing, but it's doing the absolute opposite of what you wanted to do. Trying to people please people by kissing their butt, by trying to just be there at their beck and call, people can feel that energy. They can feel it. And it doesn't feel good. It feels inauthentic, and people can feel that, and it doesn't help your case. The best way to help your case as a people pleaser is to just be who you are, because people can feel it, and that's going to make them be more comfortable, make the environment be more easy and free and just flowing more normally. People can feel when you're forcing things, and that feeling is uncomfortable, and it makes people sometimes pull away. If you've noticed that you may seem socially awkward, but it's because people can feel a certain kind of energy that could be people-pleasing energy that makes them want to pull away, because it's not an authentic thing. Because what people pleasers do is they're there and they're seeking approval from other people. So this is just a reminder that people pleasing it's not even working out in your favor. Most people see that, and it's not something that is an enjoyed trait. So before we say that we have that people don't like us because we have social anxiety, which it actually is true, because this is the cause of it, the people pleasing thing, and it's causing people to not like us because it's inauthentic. If you be yourself, people will gravitate more towards that because it's relatable, it's true, it's authentic, it's silly. And sometimes we say things that are just so ordinary to people, but when we try to confine ourselves to spaces to where we don't mess up, that's when people are like, this is kind of different, like this is not typical, which is what social anxiety is. We're trying to be perfect, we're trying to not say anything wrong, you're scared to say something incorrectly, you're scared to be judged. But I understand how that can be scary, but you have to understand, this quote I'm telling you is the epitome of what has helped me as somebody who has extreme social anxiety. Like I said in the past, I am extremely nervous at most times when I'm socializing with people that I don't know, or even my family, as I've said before. So Remembering there is no audience to perform for. There's no image to maintain. There's no role worth playing. There is no one to convince. There's no approval. Imagine just continuously, because this is going to take time, you have to consistently put this in your mental and consistently tell yourself this when you're in social situations. And you can always put a cue on your phone. I have this quote as my screensaver, and I honestly read this before I go into work. When I think about when I'm conversing with my family members, when I'm conversing with people, I think of this quote, that there's no approval that I'm seeking, because I'm somebody who is a people pleaser, and so I seek people's approval. Remembering this during those times is going to help you consistently turn that mindset around and into one that is authentic and true to you, because you understand there's no approval, there's no audience to perform for, you're just being you. That's all that this is. So there's also a situation that comes into play, which is insecurity with self-expression and self-hate. And that's something that I also struggle with. So you have to understand that there's a lot of different ways to battle this. Journaling is one of those ways. Exercising is helpful. Doing the things that are sometimes small things can really help. And I'm telling you, small things over a period of time is way better than trying to do everything in one day. So when you're trying to develop these things like helping your social anxiety, you have to be patient with yourself and understand this is a project. This is not something that you're going to be finished with the next day. You're consistently going to put yourself in these situations. You're consistently going to remember this phrase. And over time, you'll continuously build up to, I don't even need this anymore. It's like second nature that I understand that there's no approval that I'm seeking, from consistently remembering it every time you get into those social situations. But there are a lot of deep-rooted insecurities that people feel as though, as well as myself, that there is this inability to express because it is a part of them that they don't quite accept in themselves. And that is a really long topic, but it really starts with journaling, and I can make a separate video about that on how to address that so that you can feel more free, feel more light when you are expressing yourself, and not this self-hate and this doubt in yourself that is deep inside from something that is uncovered and unhealed from your past. So to reiterate, you guys, overcoming anxiety is not something that happens overnight. It's slowly over time, so be patient with yourself and know that you have to fail to succeed. And if you choose to not fail to succeed, then you'll never get the opportunity to succeed. I understand being scared of failure. I'm still a little scared of failure, if I'm honest with you guys. There are still things that I'm scared to do, but I have to continually remind myself that if you try to avoid failure, then you will never grow to be anything different than what you are currently. And if you have higher goals for yourself, if you want to do things in the world, you're not going to get them right the first, second, and sometimes even the third or fourth time. But those are steps closer to where you want to be. You have to understand that you cannot skip the failure step. That's a part of the process. And you have to see it as not a failure, but as one step closer to getting it right. From this situation, you can learn something new. You can take, for example, in a situation, I've noticed there's been times where I've been in social situations and I say something that I'm people pleasing. It's not even necessarily something that I believe, you guys. I'll say something that I don't believe because I'm trying to people please the other person. And I see how that negatively has an effect on the conversation that I'm having, because one, I'm saying something that I don't fully believe, and then these people are asking me about it, and I don't have like support for my argument because I don't fully believe it. I've seen how that goes wrong, how trying to people please in this aspect was not something that was working for me. So when you fail, you learn. And I learn now that that is not something that I need to ever do again. Secondly, you're not as center and front as you think you are. When you mess up in social interactions, people are not thinking about it as deeply as you are because you're you. If you think of a social interaction that you had with somebody, there are probably tons of things that that person is overthinking that you don't even notice or don't even remember. Also, when you're having conversations with anybody, think, do I actually care for this person's approval? Should you care for their approval? These are the things that you need to be thinking. Is this person living a life that I want to live? If this person has something I admire, maybe I'm trying to learn something from them. Do I really need, you really don't need anyone's approval. Do I need their approval? Be based on if you need these person's approval. Number one, if they're living your life. That's it. If they're not living your life, you do not need their approval. Now, of course, there's different types of things. There's different times where you have to be professional and you have to act a certain sort of way and uphold a certain image. But in casual conversation, you do not need these people's approval in real life. And if these people do not approve you, which doesn't mean much, all it means is that they're not the people for you. Just like you have a certain preference of qualities that you might want in people that you hang around. For me, I want people who are funny. I want you to be hilariously yourself and be hilarious. I need you to be goofy because I'm goofy. You know what I mean? So I need some goofiness to match me around. Some people don't prefer to be goofy. Some people don't prefer goofy people. And that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with them. That doesn't mean there's anything wrong with me. If I'm goofy around someone and they're not receptive to it, all that means is that's just not their cup of tea. It doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with me. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. It just means that we're two different people and we're not looking for the same things. That's all that means. And that's okay. That's okay. And you have to be understanding that that is literally okay. There are billions of people on this planet. Okay? The things that you like, you're not the only one who likes them. It might just take you have to be authentic to yourself to find those people. If you keep being this person that's not truly you and people pleasing, you'll end up in relationships that you don't want to be in because you're there based on this person that's not really you and it's just a person that people pleases. If you are struggling to find friends, for example, you have to be yourself because otherwise you can still find friends, don't get me wrong, but there's a possibility that you're going to have to uphold this standard. And if you choose to not uphold this standard, you can lose those friends because it's not the basis of who you truly are that brought them into the friendship with you in your fullness. So approval, we don't need it because these people aren't living our lives. All you need to do is be you. And that's going to help you weed out the people who are for you and not for you, the people who you want to be around. Right? Because it's not just about the other person, it's about what you want. You have to want people who want you, and that's a process as well. And there's another video that I can make if you guys want. Comment if you want me to help you guys to understand how to tell if somebody is for you and how to fix that mindset shift to, I know there are instances in my life where you want people who don't want you. And it happens. But we have to get through that, and that's a journaling process. We overblow ourselves up. People who people please, people who have social anxiety, we overexpand ourselves in our heads. We make ourselves so important to everybody. And I promise you, people are not looking that deeply into everything that we do. If you stutter, it's really not that big of a deal. I promise you. It happens. It's just something that happens sometimes. Like, there's a lot of things that we give ourselves too much judgment and criticism on where we don't have to. It's okay, and people aren't analyzing it the way that we think that they are. I love you. You got this. Remember, there is no approval that you're seeking when you're out in these interactions. There's no audience to perform for, no admiration to attain. There's no admiration to attain. You're just simply being yourself. And this is what has helped me, and it will help you too if you implement it. Every single time that you get into social interactions, remember the saying, write it down on your phone. This is so random, but have you guys ever seen The Notebook? I really want to watch that movie. I haven't seen it yet. Everybody says it's really good, and I was just curious as to what you guys think about it. So if you have any opinions, if it was good to you, please don't spoil it though, because I'm actually going to watch it. But if you've seen The Notebook, tell me if it's worth watching or not, because I don't know. I've been just into the idea, into that concept. It just seems like a love book. And I want to read it. I wonder if they have The Notebook as a book. Let me know. Comment if you know. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow if you want to see more content on how I'm healing my social anxiety consistently and what works for me and what doesn't work for me, you guys. And bye.